Welcome, 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 and good morning to another episode of Logistics with Purpose. I'm your host, Enrique Alvarez, and today, unfortunately, we didn't have Christy. So shout out to Christy. She's been my co-host for many, many interviews, and she is finally on vacation. She's an incredibly workaholic, so I'm happy that she's somewhere resting and taking good care of herself. Today, and without further ado, I have a really good friend with me, a person that's not only incredibly successful, but very interesting and continues to push the boundaries of giving and purpose-driven organizations and entrepreneurship. With me today, Masami Sato. Masami, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you, Enrique. And I'm today in London. I'm tuning in from London, and it's beautiful over here.
And we'll talk a little bit about that because Masami spends her time between London, New York, Singapore, and she travels around quite a bit. But we'll talk a little bit more with her in a second. Let me give you a little bit more context around her. She's a remarkable social entrepreneur, a great speaker, a change maker. Masami is the founder and CEO of B1G1, Buy One, Give One originally, and we'll talk a little bit more about that during our interview. Global giving movement and B Corp certified organization that helps businesses create impact into everyday activities. BYG1 has also become an official 1% for the planet giving partner and has been recognized with the Sustainable Business Award for SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. Masami is a two-time TEDx speaker, an Amazon best-selling author of not only one, but not 3, 2, 4 books, and a finalist for the Inspired Leadership Award. Her work is a powerful reminder that small actions done consistently can change the world, which is, I'm a huge fan of this kind of compounding philosophy, right? That you just have to do something even small, but just if you do it consistently and it's compounded over time, it's basically unstoppable. So Masami, so great to see you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Enrique.
You were, before we started recording, you were telling a story a little bit about why you're in London today, and it has to do a lot about tennis and Wimbledon for all those sport fans out there. Can you tell us a little bit more why you're in London?
Well, I'm in London for multiple opportunities, such as speaking as well. But one interesting thing I got involved in, or I got invited to, was to be part of this interesting mentoring program that goes on for the next year. And a group of mentors, including me, setting out to mentor some of the top tennis pro players, existing and just retired players, to work with them on the next year to explore their future career. So when pro tennis players, when they graduate from the main tennis career, then many of them may consider entrepreneurship today. So I've been privileged to actually be part of it, and had a really beautiful private tour into the backstage of Wimbledon, where we went through all the canteen or treatment room or ice bath, or like the corridors where the players walk through, and so that was actually just a fantastic experience.
It sounds amazing, and I think you like tennis too, right? So this is
I love tennis. I play at a hobby level.
Right.
But tennis is such an interesting sport. And you may not know this, but they say that the people who play racket sports, including tennis, tend to live longer.
Oh, definitely longer than people that play soccer and use their feet. That's for sure.
But there are some interesting studies. So if you are interested, you can check it out.
Absolutely. Well, and it must have been a dream, right, for a good tennis player to come to basically the most iconic site for tennis in the world. Did you picture yourself like having like a professional tennis career as you were visiting all the...
No.
No?
Well, I'm not...
You feel like part of like I could have done this.
I love playing tennis because it's such a, lovely social thing to do. I love also running, and instead of just playing sports or doing your own exercise, when you get to do sports socially, it opens up a lot of interesting conversations too. So I love tennis, but it's very special to actually be in the space. And it wasn't even during the tournament, because it was a pre-tournament time that we went through the back gate. So it was pretty quiet, but then it was kind of like filled with this sportsmanship spirit and some part of tension before the tournament and championship began as well. And we were just bumping into people like Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner, and Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff. And so it was really like surreal, but actually what we experienced and took away was interesting, because we realized that the sportsmanship, if you think about this, and thinking about how many of the sports players or artists might also consider entrepreneurship as the part of their kind of ongoing career, is interesting, because I think in the space of entrepreneurship as well, there is a lot of this like learning to perform at the top level, but there is so much that we do together with our peers and to advance our spirit of kind of mastery of something that we totally believe in. So I think the tennis, involvement in tennis is such a unique way to actually reflect on the spirit of entrepreneurship at the same time.
Well, congratulations again, right? I mean, you're breaking a new barrier, and of course, you're setting another example for a lot of people out there. You're inspiring them with this entrepreneurship spirit. And of course, I'm sure that the tennis players that are talking to you and you having a chance to mentor them are going to be very happy and glad they have met you. So congratulations again. Masami, very quickly, changing gears a little bit here. Let me start with some quick questions. You don't really have to think about this. It's just whatever comes to mind first, and let's see how you do. There's no wrong answers, of course. And let's just start a couple of questions, and we'll start with the regular interview. You ready?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. What is your favorite book?
Actually, I like this compound improvement. So, for example, Power of Habit is one of my favorite book, which really shows us how, changing the little things that happens in our everyday life has a significant impact in our future.
What about a quote that inspires you?
I think there are lots of quotes, but I think some of the simple but the powerful ones. First of all, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change. Just simply be the change. And another thing that Mother Teresa said was that the problem of this world is not that we have just big problems we cannot solve, but it's that we set our family circle too small.
That is powerful. Early bird or night owl?
Oh, early bird for sure.
What is your favorite place to be?
Oh, place to be here.
And last one, your favorite food.
Oh, favorite food. Oh, it's hard to say, but I would pick two things. One is this smelly, stinky Japanese fermented beans called natto. And then another one.
Dessert? That's a dessert.
Oh, no. It's a savory food. We eat it all the time. And it's apparently very good for heart health and gut health. But another thing that many people also like is perhaps avocado. I'm a big avocado fan.
Avocados from Mexico.
Yes.
Masami, thank you so much for your answers. And now, if you don't mind, let's start from the beginning. Tell me a little bit more about your background, your childhood. Where did you grow up? What kind of started to inspire you to kind of become the leader that you are now?
So I'm Japanese. And when I was growing up, I was extremely shy and introverted. So for me, expressing myself was enormously difficult. And speaking up in the class, or, I was terrified. Wow. So
you became such a great speaker. You have 2 TEDx talks and get invited to speak. Go ahead. So you were shy when you were younger.
Yeah, I was still shy, by the way. But when I was growing up, my parents were very hardworking, and they were, hardly at home. And also my dad, under the stress and the pressure of being in the corporate world, he was often at home being angry, so I grew up feeling that I didn't have a place to fit in. But there was one place I really enjoyed being in, which was at my grandparents' little family business. So they had a little tiny shop in Tokyo. And so from the age of 2 or 3, I started to help my grandparents in their business and sweeping the floor.
What was the shop about? What did you guys?
It's just a general store, like in the neighborhood, they might sell bread or, general supplies and stuff like that. So, the business itself wasn't extraordinarily unique. But it was embedded in the local community there. And so I learned from my grandparents about running a business and, how everything worked. So during that time, I became very curious about how everything worked, because, business is also just learning about how everything worked, how customers come and, how suppliers deliver stuff and how to stock the shelf in the right way. So I questioned a lot of how, or how come, so when I, graduated from school and had an opportunity to either apply for a job or do something else, I chose something else. And yes.
I love that. There's something else for sure.
Yes. And that something else was pretty much of an unknown, but I decided to go out of Japan. I was, of course, scared, right? Because I was an introverted person. But then I was just so curious about what was happening in the bigger world. So I left Japan, initially planning to spend 8 months in Canada to study English. But that 8 months ended up few years or several years of traveling. So I never kind of wanted to go back anymore after I left. So
before you run too ahead of this, I just wanted to touch a little bit on your grandparents and your parents, right? They seem to given you the tools that you needed to go out, because it's not, you say it very casually, but to live in Japan, never been out, and then just deciding to go 8 months out, which turned into years, and we'll find out more about that in a second. It's not as easy as it sounds. So do you remember a quote or a story from your grandparents or your parents maybe that kind of shaped you in that way that you were able to overcome the fear, because I'm guessing that's what it is, and then just go by yourself and do what you needed to do?
I don't think the challenge was, the fear, but challenge was probably money, for example. How do we have enough money to do something like that? And so throughout my school life, starting from high school, every year and every day, I had multiple part-time jobs to manage, so that I can keep saving up more and more money to do something. So, then another thing was, another motivation was because I just wanted to leave. I didn't feel I fit. And so initially to me, it was kind of running away from what I didn't want or like. So that was a strong motivation for me to actually be able to go out of my country. Today I feel different, but then at that time it was the reason. So, anyway, I am feeling very grateful now of all of the things that happened. But again, sometimes in life, you do things because there's a strong motivation that's driven through pain or fear or difficulty, right? So for me, when I left Japan and feeling that I didn't even fit in my own community or own school or own family, what I experienced once I left was amazing, because I started to live with people I didn't know or connect with people, total strangers. And these total strangers became my lifeline, because I couldn't speak English or I didn't have a lot of money or a lot of, I didn't have a friends. So I had to rely on strangers a lot. But then during that time, some of the people who helped me everywhere I went were enormously kind. And I started to feel that I didn't have to try so hard to kind of pretend to be somebody else. So I let go. And without being able to speak the language, because that also helped me in terms of letting go, because you just couldn't keep trying to say the right thing anymore because you couldn't say anything much.
Right. You really couldn't speak the language.
Yeah. So I just became a simple person. And I was definitely vulnerable because I didn't have a lot of money or, and I'm a small person and I was young at that time. So actually being vulnerable and open, allowed me to actually experience people's kind of kindness and magic of human spirit in a totally open way. So that's the time where I started to feel that actually world was amazing place with amazing people. And instead of seeing each other as different, I started to see that we all had something in common.
Wow. It's amazing that when this happens to me a lot when I travel, right? I mean, you realize if you're open, which is the hardest part, you're right. Try to be open and let go and kind of, put your guard down and make sure that you experience the world for what it is. And you feel that people are a lot more similar to you and a lot more kind and happy and thoughtful and caring, right? As opposed to what we're somewhat used to read in the papers and read in all the news and all that. So that must have been a very incredible and powerful experience that I'm sure you then use to continue your successful career.
So at that time, I didn't know, what I was really looking for. And I think I was on my soul search, but I really didn't have a specific aim or purpose or destination. But what happened was during that time when I was experiencing this profound sense of connection, I also started to see some of the disconnects in the world, such as, like in some part of the world, people are living in very nice houses or have bigger cars but then some of these people weren't totally fulfilled with what they had. The same as my parents, they worked so hard and our life was becoming a little bit better off materially. But then, actually, we didn't feel fulfilled by that. But then when I went to another part of the world, there were people who had very little, living on the mud house with, mud floor. And, they had little to eat, but they were very happy to share what they had with me. And when I got invited to eat with these people who seems to have so little, I initially feel, conflicted. I didn't know whether I should be taking their food, but sharing in their giving spirit brought us all close together and felt all of us feel more abundant. So I just started to feel why is this happening? In one part of the world, even young children are working and they can't even complete primary education, or people with physical disability had to fend for themselves on the street. But then the world is not there to help them. So I didn't know what to do in this process, but then I just kept moving and moved on, saying to myself that, I'm just a little person. I don't know how to solve the big problems in the world and help everyone. So that's how I went on. But then, several years into that, when I became a mom, by accident, and I had my daughter, and one day I was looking at my daughter in my arms and feeling this enormous sense of love and connection that I never felt. And at this point of time, for me, the faces of children of my backpacking days came back to me. And I started to think, I am committed to do anything and everything I could to make sure my daughter grow up safely, happily, healthy, and have great opportunities in life. But there are so many other kids who don't have that. And if my daughter happened to be born in that circumstance by chance, and if the entire world gave up on her and said, we are all too small, we can't help, we don't know how to fix big problems, so do nothing, then I felt that it shouldn't be. So I decided to do something, whatever small that I could do. And at that time, 3 month old baby on my back, I started my first business. That
Wow.
was 24 years ago.
That is unbelievable and very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing the story. I mean, people can listen if they're not watching you, just how comfortable you are being who you are. And I think that's an incredibly powerful thing for people to have. And it's so hard to pull off, but you make it just look so easy and gracefully. Is there any trick? I mean, you mentioned a little bit about when you found out that you had to let go, you had to be vulnerable, and then you just decided to, this is who I am. I cannot give a lot, but I can give a little, and I'll just keep going. Is that ingrained in some type of mindset? Is it, I mean, what do you attribute that to? Because it's something that's very powerful, and it comes very naturally to you.
I don't think it came always naturally to me, because when I was younger, I was kind of quite judgmental about what was happening in the world. So after traveling around the world and seeing some of the kind of like a negative impact the business activities of businesses or consumerism had on the world, I felt that perhaps consumerism was the source of evil. And then I decided at that point of time, I decided to not be part of consumerism. And then said, oh, I'm going to move to a countryside. So I'm going to figure out how to create a self-sufficient life. So in a 2-year period, when I was in Japan, I moved to a countryside of Japan and lived with farmers, trying to find a sustainable way or self-sufficient way of living, to grow food, to make everything. And, so I did that for 2 years. And during that time, what I learned didn't end up making me successful in what I thought I was going to do, which was to become totally self-sufficient, right? Like to be able to make everything and not buy anything. I didn't become successful in that, but I learned so much from farmers.
Right.
And then I learned a very simple essence of how they created sustainability or abundance, long-term abundance, and which was very, very simple, which is to give back to the soil. Create fertile soil and respect the nature, go with the circle and the cycle of nature, and create a trusting community around you. So we would be working together and helping each other regardless of good times and bad times. So when I had that experience, my perspective really changed over time. And I started to realize that I was wrong to be so judgmental and to say my parents were wrong because they were doing this, or, the businesses were creating issues, but what I realized was that actually everybody wanted to create the same thing, which was happiness for themselves, happiness for their own family and loved ones, and long-term abundance for the people they cared about as well. But it's just that sometimes what we were doing wasn't naturally leading to the outcome we wanted to create. So in a way, like when I moved on from the farming period of my life, I became pretty curious about the roles that the businesses could have in the world. And because perhaps that in the business world, this same philosophy existed, just like the farmers. Businesses are here to create abundance. But then in order for us to create a long-term sustainable abundance, we have to create a fertile soil.
Right.
Which we are based on. And that is to really take care of global ecosystem, marketplace, then the people in the supply chain and everywhere around the world. So
which
that's kind of like
giving back, right? It's what you gotta give back to the soil in order for the soil to continue to give to everything else.
Yeah, correct.
With that perfect analogy, and for our listeners that don't necessarily know what B1G1 is, tell us now, you come to all these different stages of your life, you come to realize you have to let go, you realize that you have to be vulnerable, you have to trust people, and then you came up with the perfect kind of way of doing it with BYG1. So tell us what it is And then what inspired you to start this journey, and how has the mission evolved over the last years?
Okay. So just going back to that part where I started my own food business, right? Like for me, food was my passion because I believed that the food really brought people together. Food was a source of our well-being, the connection and, like family life. And so for me, it was natural to go into food business. But
And this was your farmer. So this was your farmer phase.
After the farmer, when I became a mom, and I was at one point of time living in New Zealand, and I gave birth, and I started my very first business. Right, that's after farming.
And the first, so was Canada, Japan. You moved to Canada. You stayed there for almost 2 years. Then New Zealand.
Then New Zealand. At one point, I was in New Zealand, and with a baby, and I started my initial business with 3-month-old baby on my back, and but the idea was that when this business succeed, I was going to give all the profits away to help street children so that they can have access to education and nutrition. So that was like why, we started the business in the first place. Then what happened was, fast forward like 5-6 years, through all of the struggles and the challenges which we went through our business endeavor, at one point of time, my company, has grown to a frozen meal, healthy food frozen meal production business in Australia. And I had a distribution channel of our wholesale frozen meal product to over 150 stores in 3 different states across Australia. So
that's incredible. Wait, and what kind of food were you selling?
We were doing organic, natural organic frozen meals, like pre-made. So families could just pop that into oven and eat, so. Then at that time, right, like even with the business growing, we were always busy, right? Like we always had no time, and we were putting all the proceed back into the business to have another freezer room or better packaging or all sort of things. So at one point of time, I paused for a moment and pondered on the fact that even though we worked so hard, 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, nonstop with 2 young children, and we were still saying to ourselves that we were not ready yet to do great things because we had to grow our business bigger or have a more profit or better distribution, vision, and so on. So anyway, this thought came to me. And then I thought, what if instead of trying to do big thing one day in the future, what if we did something small and did it every day? And so the idea was the kind of origin of B1G1, because that was every time we sold our food, we give a meal. So that was kind of initial buy one, give one story. But then about 7 months later, after we implemented that in our own business, another realization came to me, and I thought, this has been so transformative for our business to be able to make act of kindness and tangible positive impact into as one of the ingredients of our business, food product. That was very special. But what if we did this with so many other businesses together? So that was the kind of moment I realized the profoundness of this concept. And then we eventually decided to sell our business in Australia and move to Singapore to start B1G1 as the initiative that created the model and the platform and system and the process to help small to medium-sized businesses around the world to implement these acts of kindness in what they do. So that was 2007. So it's been 18 years of working.
Wow. Well, that is, congratulations once again. Going back to the food company that you had and how you were selling it, it seems to me that the fact that you were a purpose-driven organization and that you realized that at some point and you started to kind of buy one and you gave one, and it was the first B1G1 model. How can you link success and the fact that you ended up exiting and selling the company very successfully to the fact that you were purpose driven. And we get a lot of this question in the conscious capitalist community and the B Corp community and all the purpose driven communities out there. Like, how do you make the business case for being purpose driven? If you have one example of how just this idea you had of giving one for free helped your company and accomplished a lot more than maybe saving those meals?
Okay, so that's an interesting question because I would not say yes to that question on that point, but I can say, something kind of like even more profound. So that was 18 years ago. So at that time, I don't think the world was looking for the same thing, such as purpose-drivenness or ESG, social impact. There was no awareness.
Right.
So in terms of who bought our food business and whether or not that having this additional purpose element was the attraction for them, I would not be able to say yes to that. At the same time, though, there was something much more profound for me because through the journey of that food company over the 5-6 years when we experienced some of the most kind of profoundly challenging moments, I always came back to this thinking that when I used to travel and backpacking, and when those families took me in, when they had so little, they were willing to share their meals with me. And when I reflected on some of the challenges these people went through in their life, all of the challenges that we experienced in our own business and our own endeavor became such a little thing.
Right. Yeah, you can't compare yourself to the real problems that some of these families are facing. You're absolutely right.
And that gave me like a profound sense of strength and resourcefulness in terms of coming up with a positive and optimistic views of what else we could do to keep going. And I was not willing to give up. If I had that business, just for the aim of exiting for more money or making more profit for my own family and own business, on myself, I would have given up many times around.
Right.
But it was not a question. And I also feel that I managed to go through those challenging times in a positive and joyful and optimistic ways, even though like sometimes, of course, undeniably you could get stressed, but actually everything becomes much more joyful. You fundamentally start with a sense of gratitude for what you already have. And it is actually the same thing. We experienced some profound, amazing contributions of from our team members. Like we had people coming to work with us. Even though we weren't nowhere close to paying a fair wage, to them, everybody was feeling like they were part of this big mission. So in a sense, when you yourself experience this profound sense of connection to the mission and the purpose of why you do what you do, you actually somehow attract people who actually resonate with that frequency. And that part, I can strongly vouch for the benefits of having the strong sense of mission and purpose. But how does that get translated into the financial outcome? That will be depending on, all sort of situations, right? And then also, if you have a genuine intent to do this, rather than how do I use this social mission and purpose into money-making outcome? But if you are doing it genuinely and calling for people, customers, team members, stakeholders, even shareholders to come in on the mission and the purpose, I think the benefit can be even more sustainable.
Wow. Well, that's the answer, right? That's everyone out there that's kind of looking for a business case to this. I mean, they can replay this over and over. So thank you for the answer. And I really love the way that you actually phrase and the analogies that you use, like attracting people from the same freight waves and from the same, that's just very powerful. And you have successfully done that. So you moved to Singapore. at that time. And then you had the idea, you proved it, you still had something that you wanted to prove. So you sold the company. And how did you start B1G?
It was definitely challenging and much like even more challenging than the food business. Even though during the food business, we did all sort of crazy things to keep the business going, right? Like in the difficult times. But B1G1 was another case, no comparison, because if you are running like more traditional business, then you could look at the other successful case studies or models and you can try to do better.
Right.
But
B1G1, someone else's bet.
Yeah, but nobody was doing what B1G1 was set out to do. So we had to really learn from scratch. And we were determined that this was not just going to be like another charitable initiative. Because if we are to say, oh, we're going to do good things, so please donate to us, that way of, doing that didn't resonate with me because I'm an entrepreneur. So we totally believe that the initiative itself needs to run in a way that adds value to businesses. And then as a result, we can actually ask them to pay for the value. But then at the same time, that should create the sustainability mechanism so that when great impacts are created through the work of charitable partners we work with, all of the money should go to them rather than we take a percentage of donation and stuff like that. So it took a number of years to actually establish the model, like learn to figure out how to actually choose the project to bring into our model, or how to build the systems and the processes and the platform to make it really easy for businesses to say, every time something good happens in our business, something great can happen in the world. And then how to create the impact report, how to create live impact counters, how to run meaningful events, conferences, and even study tours to make the social impact and act of creating impact really meaningful for all of the businesses we work with. Like all of those things took time, and that's why in 18 years of journey, we are just so grateful for the amazing businesses that came on board to work with us, even when we didn't have a lot of value proposition, like in the same way as today. And today we are still here, and those businesses have created more than 375 million impacts. So, and delivering a lot of help to more than 450 projects around the world, in over 50 countries. So, yeah, so it's been...
You have proven the model, right? I mean, you now have the track record. Now you have actually accomplished so many things. You can prove it. It's easy. You have the numbers. What is it? I mean, at the end of the day, for people that are still listening to this interview, I'm sure they're incredibly attracted to what you're saying and your personality and your culture that you're building. So what is B1G1? How does it work? Tell us a bit more on the practical side of things, and then I'll ask you a couple other questions regarding how well you've done so far.
Okay, so let me just give you like a overview of the initiative. So B1G1 has a two-part organization model. One entity is called B1G1 Buy One Give One. It's a social enterprise, which is also certified B Corp. Registered in Singapore, works around the world. So this entity built the platform, technology, the membership initiative so that the businesses can choose to belong to this initiative as B1G1 member. And then they subscribe to this for annual membership fee based on the company size. So we make it still super easy for even startups and tiny micro businesses. But larger companies might want to do more and, work with us on the strategic level. So we provide more services, but they contribute more to the entire movement fund. Then we take that to deliver all of the things, including all of the marketing collateral, templates, impact widgets, and so on. So anyway, then when businesses have a B1G1 account, they can find the project that they want to support. And they could actually link that with their regular business activities through API, Zapier integration, or just automatic monthly recurring impact. So the purpose is to make it impactful, but also habitual. Right. And then share that with teams and the customers. So it really helps businesses engage their team and the customers and clients into the kind of like a moment of impact creation. So then, on the other hand, we have B1G1 Giving, which is a US 501c3. And then the entity would manage the giving program. And so the charity organizations can apply to join the B1G1 initiative through B1G1 Giving. And if they pass all of the criteria, then they can be invited to list their project. And we work with them to look at the project statistics, finance, and then do the project breakdown. So instead of charities saying like, oh, please donate to us, like we're doing good, they would say, okay, the cost of delivering access to education to this disadvantaged youth is how much, and we can actually quantify it based on the day of access to education, week, year, and so on, or one tree being planted, or 1 square meter of forest being protected, and so on. So with that model, we make sure that the contribution coming from businesses are amalgamated every month into a reasonable amount and passed on to the charity partners with the breakdown of impacts. And then those causes give us updates through our platform, so that when members, B1G1 businesses are making an impact, they also understand the meaning behind every single impact that they get to create. So that's the model of B1G1.
Wow. And it's like all kind of great technology. I mean, you need technology to actually make this work as efficiently as you guys are doing it. And I think the one part that I'm most impressed with is that you don't have to be a bigger company. You don't have to be entirely successful yet. You can give at whatever level you feel comfortable giving. And I think that's one of the big secrets of what you've done, right? It's just, you don't have to be big. You don't have to be successful. You can just give a little bit every now and then so that you can help others. And I think giving as you go is definitely a very successful model to change our world.
And this comes very much from the learning from farmers as well, because when you understand that the creation of real sustainability is about the ecosystem, working with the ecosystem and strengthening the ecosystem, then it's almost like the everyday business actions and activities are part of almost like this microorganism activities, or even the pollinations by the bumblebees, right? Like, because every time bees collect the nectar from flower, for their own well-being and sustainability, they are naturally pollinating flowers. And so that natural act of pollination can be brought back into business too. So it's not like we are just maximizing the profit at all cost and exploiting our future sustainability. We just need to do micro-pollination every time something good happens in our business. And if we do it all together, then we get to see more flowers in the future.
I love that analogy as well. What are some of you must have plenty. What are some of your most proudest accomplishments so far, Masami?
I think that I don't tend to say I'm proud so much, because I feel I'm grateful for the part that everybody plays. But I think some of the moments that made me extremely rewarded to see is, for example, when people who are giving have this profound transformation in their feeling when they realize that the act of giving wasn't really about helping somebody who had less or lesser, because often when we are giving, we might think that we better than somebody else.
Right.
So we would help the people who have less opportunity, or less skills or knowledge. But then when, sometimes when we go, with a small group to visit the projects and see what kind of amazing transformation people on the ground are creating, when we become part of this as like a fellow human beings, rather than people who came to donate money or like help people. And when we have this like, ability to become a learner and recipient of that goodness, and then what happened was that unlocks like amazing, profound giving spirit in everyone. And so the people who are like, the women in the community who are learning to rear goats, and then with the goats that they have in the community, they run goat business and they do accounting to make sure that, like we go and see some of these things and we go like, oh my gosh, like, how amazing is this? We get to learn so much from the spirit of what they are doing. It's just, these are probably the moments of greatest inspiration and also the pride, because I feel like, it's just that people, when they become the best they can be, they become the next givers.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. And it's something that I try to instill in my kids. And I'm telling them this over and over throughout the many years that they've been with me. I mean, the more you give, the more you get, right? And it feels similar to me when you say that when you're trying to go and help other people, you're thinking of, hey, I'm better off. I'm helping you because you're coming from less. But if you really think hard about what you're doing after you help someone, you can see, or at least I see it very clearly, that they help me as much, if not more, than what I'm trying to do for them or try to help them. Like it's a really, really important part of giving, right? Making sure that you understand that you're getting probably more than what you give anyways. So why not keep doing it? Let me change gears a little bit because we're running out of time and I'm enjoying this conversation a lot, but I have to talk a little bit about your books. You have written 4 powerful books, right? From Giving Business to Better Business, Better Life, Better World. How do you see your writing? And first and foremost, do you enjoy writing? Are you a good writer? And how do you see the writing and speaking? Because you just mentioned that you didn't like speaking when you were younger, but you were incredibly powerful with words. How do you see that as part of the bigger idea, the bigger strategy behind what you're trying to do? How are you bringing others into this movement through writing and speaking?
I didn't realize I enjoyed writing or I enjoyed speaking even before. It took time, and I'm 50 years old now, so I wouldn't pretend that I was, like I mastered this early or anything. And even now, like I'm still learning. But I luckily had some amazing people around me. Who mentored me, guided me, showed me examples, and I started to gradually believe in myself more, which was probably the most difficult part. Like I think I have and I had imposter syndrome, which is very common among many people. So I struggled to believe in me, but then one of probably the kind of most significant moments where I started to change was finally realizing it actually wasn't about me. And so when you hold on to your own identity or yourself, then you become conscious and afraid of showing yourself, right? Like, or sharing yourself because you feel it's about you. You had to prove something. But when you realize that it's not about you, it's about this profound magic of an idea that can bring everybody together, then for me, to share what I 100% believe in and find so much joy in. And through this idea, I connected with some amazing people, including you, Enrique. I get to meet with these amazing people like you. So to me, there was never a shadow of doubt of the magic of the idea, even though I had a lot of doubt about myself and in myself. So that continued to encourage me. And especially when I stand on the stage in front of big audience, I just remember that it's not about me. It's about everybody in this space to feel this profound sense of connection and the potential that we all have. Then nothing feels scary to me anymore.
Wow. First and foremost, I am delighted to have met you. So I thank our mutual friend for the introduction. And of course, very powerful words. You have a very powerful career, and you actually are really, by giving yourself and being vulnerable and not making it about yourself, you're really setting up an incredible company, an incredible organization. And it's amazing. Now, with everything that's happening in the world, right? Media and the political challenges and conflicts and policies and all this and wars, where do you see the world, right, going? I mean, what examples or where do you focus on? And then also, where do you see the world going? Are you positive about it? What kind of gives you all this amazing positive energy? Tell us a little bit about how you see the next 10 years of the world.
I think, of course, like when we focus on some of the things happening or news or bigger challenges, it's easy to feel depressed or, pessimistic as well. And I wouldn't pretend that I don't have those moments, but the thing is, I think we can only control what we can control. And we can only do what we can do within the limited time we have. And no matter how much or how hard we try, we cannot control the fact that we have limited time on this planet. Even if we live long and take care of our health, it's not infinite. So that means then our responsibility or our opportunity is to make the most of every moment and every day. And so I think if we think about what makes joy and sense of meaning and purpose in our day and light ourselves up, then we could actually focus on spending more of our time doing those activities that lights us up. And so I think being kind, being compassionate, but being, having the feeling of connection and connecting with people, not judging, and respecting and accepting other people with other views and other things happening, but still taking positive action that we can take today.
Wow.
And then to be grateful. So I think that's kind of the ways that I continue to try to live myself with.
Masami, thank you so much. For those listening who I'm pretty sure feel incredibly inspired by your conversation today, how can a business become a B1G1 member, first and foremost? What's the easiest way of doing that? And then at the end, what would you tell everyone that's listening right now so they can go out there and do like something simple, small, caring act that could actually continue to grow your movement and grow the organization and, of course, make the world and our communities better?
Yeah. So first of all, you can learn more about B1G1 and join us through our website, b1g1.com. And also, if Enrique, if you're happy to share in the show note, then I'm very happy to share the ebook. The copy of my book, but in a free format.
Yeah,
I'm very
great.
happy to share with the audience here. And then also, if anybody is interested in following my updates or some other insight post, then please find me on LinkedIn. And, like for all of you who feels that, doing something like you don't know where to get started, then I would say that let's start small. Because when you actually just take the first action without procrastinating, then we can do it today. Even if it's a small thing, it's fine because that takes us to the next opportunity and next action. So if you enjoyed this episode, then please reach out to me or do something, be kind, spread the joy and spread the kind of kindness through what you are doing. And hopefully we will see you in B1G1 as well.
Masami, thank you so much. For everyone listening, if you're as inspired as I am, and if you like conversations like the one that I just had with Masami Sato, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Logistics with Purpose. Masami, thank you so much.
Thank you so much too.